And joining us now live is Douglas Sidialo from Nairobi. He's a victim of an Al-Qaeda bomb attack on the U.S. Embassy in the Kenyan capital in 1998. He became blind as a result of the attack. Thanks very much for joining us, Douglas, here on TRT World, and thank you very much for doing this. First and foremost, tell me, how do you feel about the killing of Al-Qaeda's leader?
Well, this is quite devastating news that the Al-Qaeda leader's life has come to an end. What I believe is that when you kill by the sword, you'll as well be killed by the sword. When the Al-Qaeda caused devastation almost 24 years ago to us Kenyan victims, over 224 people were killed, almost 5,000 injured. And that has been a pain to me when I realized that I lost sight after the bombing. I was so very much angry. I was bitter. And I imagined that if I would have made the men behind that heinous and barbaric act of cowardice, I would have skinned them alive. So when I see such a happening, the Americans' drones having killed the leader of Al-Qaeda, that brings some sense of closure, not just to me, but the victims of the September 11 attacks, the victims of the American embassy bombing, and many victims of terrorism around the world.
Okay. Now, Douglas, correct me if I'm wrong. American victims of the 1998 bomb attack in the Kenyan capital were compensated with millions of dollars, but if I'm not mistaken, non-American victims have not received any compensation yet.
Now, I met Joe Biden and his wife Jill when he visited Kenya in 2010. I looked at Joe Biden right in the eye, shook his hand for almost like a minute, held it tightly, and asked Joe, what and how do you feel about the Kenyan victims in regard to compensation? And Joe told me, Douglas, you know what? We Americans are believers of human rights. We are believers. We are strong Christians and religious people. Will look into the compensation of the Kenyan victims. But 12 years down the line, now Joe Biden is the president of America. I wonder whether he's still looking into our issue. I wonder whether the American people and the American president believes in human rights. When President Trump was the president, he did negotiate with the Sudanese government to be removed from the list of the state sponsors of terrorism. And the Sudanese government gave over $350 million, which went towards the compensation of the American citizens, contractors, and employees of the American government. But we Kenyans have never been considered for any financial compensation. But we Kenyans, orphans, widows who are affected by the bombing, are in more dire need than the Americans. If they are true believers of human rights, why haven't they addressed the plight of the Kenyan victims and compensation for that matter 24 years down the line?
All right, strong words there by Douglas Sidialo. Douglas, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.